Hey everybody, this is Wayne and I'm back again with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the FatFreq X Effect Audio Quantum. So, the Quantum is indeed the FatFreq Planar, and if you're not familiar with the story, I'm going to link the video down below, but after SoCal CanJam, EnigmaFotos and I kind of talked about our experience with the Quantum, and I'll give you kind of the story and background. Essentially, day 2 of SoCal CanJam 2024, I asked Yao from FatFreq, hey, I heard you guys have a planar prototype. Like, do you guys have it right now? He's like, oh, you heard about it, eh? And brought it out. He actually grabbed his luggage, had to do, had to unlock it. There was padlock, there was biometric locks. Like, it was very secretive. But ultimately, he brought it out. I listened to it, and I immediately fell in love. And the reason why is because it was the warmest, smoothest, bassiest, detailed, planar, like, just blew my mind with how good of everything it did. Now, fast forward, it is now April 2025. It's dropped. How do I feel about it? We'll get into it. But first, let's talk about it. So, cue the B-roll. The FatFreq X Effect Audio is indeed a collaboration between FatFreq and Effect Audio. Of course, I just said it again. But this is a one planar driver IEM that incorporates the Bass Canon technology. It also has their planar driver technology that delivers ultra fast transients. It has a ResoFlow acoustic system, which is trying to give a smoother, natural treble extension without losing any of the sparkle. And it comes with the Effect Audio Signature Series 2, the Aries S2. Now, it's a great planar magnetic IEM. The special sauce is the fact that you can use the NOAA modules. So you'll kind of see, and I'm going to do a little bit more of a B-roll later on with the black and blue modules when I talk about it, but you can use the black module, which is more of the power, the blue module, which is more of the control, and the SuperStage, which is what the special sauce is. So yeah, that's the Quantum. It is currently going for roughly $750 USD. Kind of fluctuates depending on the Singaporean dollar. Right now I'm looking at it. In fact, I'll pull it up. It says it's $764. Kind of fluctuates on the website because it's doing a one-for-one transition. What we're going to do with this review is we're going to go into a little bit more of the story about the Quantum. With some of the stuff that's going on, the lessons learned. We're going to talk about the sound, the modules. I'm going to do an unboxing so you kind of see everything about it and my full review. So let's get into it. Okay, so this is going to be the unboxing experience for the FatFreq X Effect Audio Quantum. The size of the box is similar to like the Deuce, so you're not getting like a really massive unboxing experience. It's kind of general. It talks about the NOAA modules on the back side. Developed in Singapore. Slide that off, move that to the side. Again, similar to the Deuce. Except in this case, Quantum, a collaboration between FatFreq X Effect Audio. Let's go ahead and remove that. Silica pack goes back in there. They come with their standard tips. I think the tips are okay. I don't really mind them too much, but I don't think they're the greatest. Move that off to the side as well. So you get 3 sets of modules. You get the black, the blue, and the SuperStage. SuperStage is already on the IEM itself, but let's go ahead and take these out. Come on, there we go. So the modules, as you can kind of see, they're kind of smaller and they go in. You want to always make sure you're doing mesh to mesh. So the mesh screen on the other side is the black. So that's how you know which way to put it in. That is what she said. Go ahead and put these down on here. And then let's go ahead and unpuck this. And there you go. There is the FatFreq Quantum, the planar magnetic, with the SuperStage already attached on there. Let's go ahead and remove the cable, which is the Effect Audio Aries S2. In fact, let's go ahead and remove the cable itself, and let's talk about the cable for a second. If you haven't used Effect Audio cables before, they kind of are a good standard for a relatively more premium quality cable compared to like the Zins in the world and the Z-Sins and stuff like that. It's very soft but sturdy feeling. It's very, very substantial, and it works really well. I mean, this is copper, so it does have that warmer tonality to it to my ears. But as far as just maneuvering it, it works really well. Roadie wraps extremely well. There you kind of go. It's a nice standard cable. Do you need it? I mean, I enjoy it, and I think having it come with the Quantum really gives it a lot of value. So there is the Quantum itself, and it's kind of like a triangle, right triangle kind of shape to it. It looks like it would fit weird, and there's a blue and a red indication of which one's which side, so you kind of know. And you can see brushed metal like plate, a little bit of a vent there, the SuperStage module. And it is recessed 2-pin, but it's not that bad, and they've learned their lesson, so this isn't like brittle feeling. You can remove the cable and it's perfectly fine. And the nozzle lip is kind of on the shorter side, so I recommend like a longer stem for your ear tip. Like the Final Type E Final Type E tip works really well because it has a longer stem. And then let's go ahead and remove the SuperStage module. You can kind of see that. Again, mesh there, and the way you put it in. That's what she said. You go in to the hole. I'm mature. There's a kind of a bumper. So it has like 2 bumpers. You push through the first one, and before you get to the very end where it clicks, that is a shallow fit for the SuperStage module, and that kind of makes the vocals sound a little bit airier. If you want to go all the way in, boom, push until it clicks. That's how you remove it. So let's go ahead and show what the nozzle size is. That is a 6.1, so it's not that unbearable. Like it's a good size. Most tips should fit well with it. And one last quote-unquote tip while I'm talking about it. And let me show you how you put in the other modules. So let's go with a black variant. So you pick it up, again, mesh to mesh, the screen, put it in, and then you just push it all the way until it clicks. Now, if you have not cut your fingernails like I did, I cut my fingernails recently, so there's actually a small little lip there that you can use to pull it out. But here's my tip. If you have recently purchased a brand new cell phone and you have a, SIM card remover, there is kind of a hole in the center of the module. Allows you to push it through, and you can kind of just shimmy it off, and voila, there you go. There's a no module removed, no issues. Boom. And again, that is the FatFreq X Effect Audio Quantum. So I don't want to get too deep into the FatFreq experience. Like my Deuce video was pretty long, and I talked a lot about my experience with the shipping and all that stuff. But if you've received an email from them and you kind of were like, I don't know if I want to pull the trigger, I will say, and I'm also going to link HBB's video where he talks about receiving a letter from FatFreq and kind of being ready to turn a new leaf, so to speak. But the overall experience with FatFreq in this case, it does appear like they're kind of going more towards a batch aspect to it, or batch rollout. So batch 1 was available to purchase online. They also had 20 something they sold at Singapore CanJam from day 1 and 2. Everything appears like they've really turned the corner and they've learned their lesson from the Deuce. They are rolling everything out. So I think batch 1 sold out. They have batch 2. They didn't allow people to purchase until batch 2 was officially released, and now batch 2 is available to pick up. So if you're on kind of the fence, you want a Bassy FatFreq tuned planar magnetic IEM, My understanding is everything's kind of turned the corner, and they understand like they need to go through batches, they need to limit how much they sell to make sure that they can keep up with the demand for it. And I think it's a good step for them. So I'm excited to see how it plays out, and I'm gonna kind of keep my eye on everything. But my experience so far has been excellent with the Quantum release, and I think a lot of other people are getting their shipping. They've gotten it on HeadFi, the FatFreq thread. People show that they got shipping information. They've already received their units. So I think everything points towards it being a good sign, and I'm excited to see what happens next. So, how does a Quantum sound? Excellent. That's it. That's the end of the video. We're done. No more. We're done. Just cut it. It's excellent. There is a light, smooth U like overall shape to it. I don't think the mids are too recessed back, but I think they're very detailed, very clear. The timbre is excellent from top down. The bass is some of the best I've ever heard in a planar set, and ultimately it's what sets it apart because you get excellent detail, you get excellent clarity, excellent separation, notes, the attack is fast, everything's quick, it's very precise. You're also getting some very natural sounding bass. This bass is as close to like sounding like a DD to my ears because it's detailed, it's punchy, it's deep. At the same time, you're getting a lot of like overall note detail and clarity, and then the decay is not overly fast. It's got a little hint of, and it might be from the SuperStage module, but it has like a little bit of a hint of like that extra decay I like, that extra note weight, and it overall shines very well. So overall, the Quantum sounds excellent. It's got a very good balance, maybe light U-shape if I had to like pick a category to put it in. And it sounds excellent from top down with speed, clarity, precision, with deep bass, very natural sounding vocals, just top down. It's one of my favorite sets. Spoiler alert, one of my favorite sets under $1,000. Just punches way above its price point. So let's talk about the bass. The bass is very deep sounding. It has a lot of punch to it. It's no roll off, like kind of like the Deuce where you know, you have a huge amount of sub bass and then the mid bass is kind of shelved. This has a good amount of punchiness. It has a good amount of deepness. It kind of varies, especially depending on what module you want and what it does to impact the sound. But overall, it comes off as a very nice, detailed, quick attack with a natural decay IEM. It is probably the best bass timbre I've heard. Like overall, it sounds very natural. There's no like, it doesn't sound like a planar bass like IEM. It's not overly fast, overly quick. Like it's got the right balance, and it's a very fun bassy set. I think most people that are bass heads are probably going to enjoy what you're getting here because, not saying it's going to be like the bass head's dream, but if you're looking for like an addition to your library collection where you have a lot of like bass head IEMs like the Deuce or the Punch or the Maestro Mini, Scarlet Mini, any of those sets that have a lot of bass to it, this is competing against those with excellent speed, excellent detail, and overall natural sounding bass that doesn't sound like it's a planar set. It does a very good job of not sounding like a planar, and that's kind of one of my favorite parts about the Quantum. So the mid-range performance for the Quantum, excellent. The detail is clear here. It's very precise. It's very resolving while still sounding very natural. And the female vocals come off as, you know, with a proper amount of air. It's very controlled, but it sounds very natural. And depending on the modules that you swap it with, again, you can kind of tune it to how you want it, to what to emphasize. The male vocals come off as very, you know, full sounding, warm. There can be at certain points, depending on your source and your cables that you're doing, there can be a little bit more of that like slight planar timbre at times, but I would say like 95% of the time, like it sounds very natural. It doesn't sound like a planar magnetic IEM. It sounds very full, very clear, just overall very clean sounding overall. I think if you're looking for that mid-range performance that's very clean and detailed, but you're not missing anything else out with like energy and bass, like it's so good. It does an excellent job of balancing everything. And you know, I wouldn't say it's like the most forward vocals. That's why I would say it's probably more of a U shape, a very light U shape. It's very balanced overall, but I would say the vocals maybe are like a half step back, just to give a little bit more emphasis for the bass and the energy around for your music tracks. So the treble. I don't know if it's that technology that they said they put it into, kind of the ResoFlow technology, but overall, if you look at a graph, in fact, I'm going to link Audio Amigo's graph because, you know, he has received his unit as well. He's graphed it. We've kind of talked about it a little bit. And if you look at it, it graphs to be kind of energetic. It's kind of aggressive on that side. But on actual like listening, it's controlled. It's not harsh. It's not sibilant. I can blast this on higher volume and I don't feel like, you know, it's treble murder. Everything sounds very clear, energetic. It's airy. There's a lot of shimmer and sparkle, but it never gets too hot to my ears. And I overall think the treble is properly boosted to make sure that you get that planar, like the detail you're expecting, like what you expect a planar to sound like. On the treble side, this is it. It's precise, it's very clear, and also very, you know, energetic and sparkly. It does a lot of good things with the treble, and it's a good balance between the excellent bass and the very good mids. So the technical performance for the Quantum is very well done. There is a good amount of separation of instruments, the imaging, the layering, everything's so well done. Like, you'd expect a kind of bass-oriented set to kind of like take a hit there. And in this case, like, no, you're getting a good amount of balance of technical performance along with bass and mid-range and energy from the treble. The imaging and separation is very well done. Busier tracks, again, like Tank from the Seatbelts or like Dreams from Fleetwood Mac, like everything you'd expect it to be placed is exactly where it is. Overall, the soundstage is really well done. It's a good amount of width to it, a good amount of depth as well as verticality to it. It surrounds you in your music ultimately, and I think the technical performance like just shines here while still giving you a good amount of natural warmth and like bassy performance. So comparisons. I've listened to other like planar sets. I've not listened to the 64 audio planar that's about $1,000. I've not heard that one yet, but I've listened to others, including the Nitch HCK F1 Pro, the Lesher S08, the Lesher S12 2024, the Lesher S15, and I can kind of make some good general impressions about like how I feel the Quantum competes. So a little side story. I was talking to Audio Amigo, who loves planar, and I would say like one of my first descriptions of what the FatFreq like Quantum or the prototype at Dallas CanJam, what it sounded like was a bassier Lesher S15, which is still an excellent IEM. It does a great amount of like overall clarity and resolution that you'd expect from a planar magnetic IEM, with a good balance without being harsh and sibilant. So the S15, excellent IEM. The Quantum is basically a bassier S15. That's really what it comes down to. Do you want more neutral kind of tuned, or do you want bassier, warmer like IEM? Like, that's where the Quantum sticks out. It has better bass than the S08. It does a better job than, you know, the S12 2024, the F1 Pro. Like, overall, like, the Quantum is one of the best planar I've ever heard. I've also listened to a $5,000 planar set, the P0. I think I have an image of it, or I'll show an image of it real quick. That was a $5,000 planar set, and yeah, I think the Quantum beats it handedly with just overall clear resolution and bass detail, and just the overall sound signature is excellent and what you're getting in the Quantum. So how does the Quantum compare to a few other IEMs in its price bracket? Against the Cantor, Cantor comes off at times as being as resolving with a bit more depth in the resolution than the Quantum, but the Quantum I think is a better listen overall. It's just smoother, warmer, bassier, and you still get a good amount of resolution and instrument detail and separation there. How does it compare to Legion, my favorite IEM right now under $1,000? It's a coin toss. It kind of depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for kind of a warm, bassy, but very resolving set? Then you're going to go with the Quantum. Are you looking for fun energetic, bassy, natural, booming. You listen to a lot of hip hop and you want your head to shake, while still having good amount of energy and good amount of mid-range performance to make it a overall sound, like balanced sound. Like Legion's where it's at there. It kind of comes down to preference. Like, I love both equally. If I was to coin flip, I might give it towards the Legion. It's a little bit more fun to me with the bass, but the Quantum is not a slouch in this case. Quantum does an excellent job of overall providing that bass that I love, while still having the resolution and detail that you'd expect from a planar. How does it compare to the Jomo Nautilus, which has a microplanar? I think the Jomo Nautilus comes off as more warmer, overall lusher sounding in the mid-range, but it does have a bit more zing to it on the treble side. The bass is probably better on the Quantum for terms of detail and overall sub bass and mid bass performance, but Jomo Nautilus is not a slouch there. Kind of comes down to, do you want something that has a bit more zing to it, that's not as controlled as a Quantum, having a more balanced sound signature like the Jomo Nautilus might be where you prefer, while the Quantum has a lot of the same elements. Kind of comes down to preference. I think the Quantum has better soundstage overall, especially because of the SuperStage module. And I think they kind of compete neck and neck. It's really do you want the gold gaudy goodness, or do you want the polished silver beats, as some people have been saying it looks like? I think I would probably say the Quantum is a better fit for most libraries, but the Nautilus is not a slouch. It's kind of neck and neck, and it's hard for me to make a decision. I would just say the Quantum in this case. But yeah, overall, the Quantum more than competes with its peers. It does a very good job of a balanced, maybe slightly if I had to nitpick, but overall balanced, bassy, all-rounder type of sound signature to it in just a planar magnetic, detail resolving type of sound. So, other things to note. We got the modules here. I'm going to do a B-roll and talk about what each module does. So, let's go with the black first. The black module. Now, what you're getting with the black Noah module on the Quantum is you're getting a deeper, more intimate presentation to the soundstage. The bass comes off as fuller sounding. It's a bit deeper sounding. It's probably more emphasized on the sub bass. And again, your soundstage is going to shrink a little bit, but the mid-range performance is still excellent. The detail are still there. You're really just getting more of that, okay, I want more of a bass head type of performance, and I want bass and mid-range and treble to be all in that same scope and same sphere of sound, and to kind of be together. That's what you're getting. You're getting a bassier set with maybe more intimate soundstage, still the same excellent resolution. Let's go with the blue. So the blue actually tames the sub bass, makes it more quote unquote refined, but ultimately what I would say is it reduces the sub bass, and that therefore kind of brings more balance to the bass sound signature, where the mid bass is still punchy and a little bit more emphasized. Soundstage is still a little bit more on the intimate side, but maybe not as much. It's kind of more controlled, and I think vocals pop off a little bit more here, so you get more vocal performance in this case. It kind of comes down to, do you want bassier sound, more intimate, or do you want more controlled bass but punchier sounding, with a bit more emphasis on the mid-range? So let's go with the SuperStage. The SuperStage. I already talked about it earlier. I did the B-roll earlier, but what you get with the SuperStage is special. This is kind of where the Quantum really shines, and what the SuperStage does is it gives you a wide sound stage that's much wider than you'd anticipate for a planar magnetic IM to kind of sound, while keeping the black module's bass. It might not be as deep hitting, probably due to the fact that it's dispersing a lot of the sound a bit more to give you that super, the super stage, or the super sound stage in this case. And I would say I prefer the SuperStage module compared to the others, because there's just something special about it. It stands out more than the others, because you could probably EQ other, the S15 or the Kiwi Ears Aether to that bass performance, but the SuperStage kind of is that special sauce because it's harder to imitate that. There is two aspects to the SuperStage module, and there is a both like deeper fit where it clicks or a more shallow fit. And when you do a shallow fit with the SuperStage, that actually does push the vocals back a bit and actually gives a little bit more airiness to it. So I would say if you listen to more female vocals and you want more of that air and transparency in the mid-range, you might do the shallow fit for the SuperStage, and it actually works pretty well. If you want just standard, I would just click it. That gives you more of that full range of the vocals, and I think they kind of explain it as being a like vocal switch, so to speak. I would say just click it. You get the full amount of mid-range performance with the vocals, and that's my preference there. So, getting past the modules, the accessories are very, very nice because it gives you the signature Series 2, the Aries cable, Aries-S cable too. And that cable is excellent. It does a good job of providing warmth in a overall like performance to sound. Like I've used the Aries S2 like a handful of times with other IEMs, and it's a copper cable. It provides a good amount of a like warmer copper sound to it. The Quantum responds very well to cable rolling. And what I actually ended up using and was recommended to me from EnigmaFotos is the Eros cable. I did not plan this part, I'm just gonna do it now. So, cable wrapping it. The Eros S2 is kind of a hybrid cable, and it does a very good job of, you know, because you get a good amount of bass no matter what. This does take away from the warmth of the Aries S2, but it adds another extra layer of detail and separation to everything. So it sounds much wider sounding overall. And I think, again, that kind of gives it a little bit more funness to it and more unique aspect to it where you're not getting that with the standard like planar IEM. So yeah, if you have cables that you want to roll and you want to like experience and see if it makes sound difference, it does in this case to me. The Quantum responds very well to different type of cables. Another thing to note is that the Quantum does a good job of responding to your sources as well. I ran it off of the JDS Element 4. I've listened to it on my new Basso DX340. It does a good job of just capturing what you're like trying to present the music. I also have my robot buddy, my X Duo DM01, and this will kind of have that little bit of that ringing noise of a highly sensitive IEM. The Quantum did not have any of that ringing noise at all, and it worked really well. This paired with the new Mollard tube roll that I'm doing, and I'm going to do a review of this eventually. It's just a matter of time. But the Quantum on this, you know, simple, small, little robot tube DAC amp, it responded super well, and it just sounded even warmer than just rolling with the Aries cable. So, plays very well with sources. It works really well. I think it just comes down to, do you want extra warmth? Then roll in a warmer source. Do you want more just standard? Like just do whatever you want with it, and it works really well. Also, I would say the volume listening, it works really well with higher volume listening. I didn't feel like it was going to get harsh or sibilant to my ears when I was listening to music. It responds very well to higher volume. It's never to that point where it's ringing in my ears or it doesn't feel hot to my ears with treble. So I was able to like blast it on a higher volume, and it just responded super well to it. It sounded excellent. So yeah, that's the things to note. Again, modules, SuperStage is where it's at. Cables, cable roll to whatever you want. If you want to hear a difference, the Aries, I could hear a difference between that and the Eros cable. And then sources, throw whatever you want at it because the Quantum will respond. So, in conclusion, the FatFreq X Effect Audio Quantum is an excellent IEM. It is, without a doubt, one of my favorite, most hyped up IEMs that I was really looking forward to like bring home and listen to it and check it out and see how I enjoy it still in a home environment as opposed to a showroom. And it's lived up to the hype that I self-imposed on myself. I think You get a very detailed, clear, clean, precise, fast attack on everything, while still having warmth and bass, and it's a unique experience. And I think like under that $1,000 price bracket, like IEMs like the Quantum or the Legion punch above their price point due to how good the technology is implemented here, how well tuned it is, and just the overall experience is way above its price point. At $750, you're getting an excellent IEM with those swappable modules and a good cable from Effect Audio, which usually retails for about $200 itself. Overall, I would give the FatFreq X Effect Audio Quantum a 5 out of 5. I understand that I'm kind of biased in a certain way because I really enjoy FatFreq's IEMs. I've listened to a lot of them. I've listened to the Maestro Mini, the Scarlett, etc., etc. I think the Quantum is probably one of my favorite releases from them. Completely like acknowledging that I've listened to the Grand Maestro Anniversary and it's excellent. I have the Deuce. I have the custom Maestro Mini with a really lovely shell. The Quantum is probably my favorite release and easily one of my favorite like FatFreq and overall favorite planar magnetic IEMs out there. So again, I'm Wayne. Thank you for watching, and until next time.